I was just asked recently, am I going to lose my business if I file for divorce? And the answer is, like any lawyer answer, it depends. The reality is, no, you're not going to be ordered to sell your business in a divorce. What you're going to be ordered to do is pay money or, give assets here or there. A business, similar to say a credit, is not directly impacted by the filing of divorce. It's indirectly impacted based upon what happens after that. So if you own a business, you're not going to be ordered to sell the business, but you may be ordered to pay a portion to your spouse for their interest in your business. Now, if you don't have that money, that's where, selling of assets comes into play. So you're not going to lose your business by filing divorce. Are you going to have some rough patches ahead? Yes. You're probably going to have to disclose your business accounts. You're going to have to make sure that you got everything in order. And if you don't have those things in order, yes, it can be very overwhelming and it can be very nerve-wracking to try and come up with this stuff. The first thing you got to do is recognize you can't go backwards. All you can do is go forward. Get everything in order that you can now and understand that you've got to come up with a plan of action going forward. So business valuations are done very commonly throughout the state, and they're done for a variety of reasons and not just for a divorce. Every day, people are buying and selling businesses, and that takes place on the open market. Someone might be interested in acquiring a business. Someone might be interested in selling a business. And in these processes, you have people that come in that know how to evaluate a business, and they'll look at a variety of factors. They'll look at the actual physical assets. They'll look at the books. They'll look at what have the revenues been over the past few years. What are the projected revenues going forward? Based upon that, are there any plans in place for growth and a variety of factors that can go into how you value a business. Now, that's not an exact science. You can have two different people that value businesses come up with different numbers. So it's important when you're doing this that you have an understanding of how this process works. You and your spouse could decide to use one person to do the valuation. You can each hire your own person. You could have each hire your own people and then have them pick a third person. There's a variety of strategies you can do with this, but I often encourage people, don't get too many experts involved because chances are they're not going to agree. So you want to come up with one number at first and then see how far apart you are. If you felt that was a good number, your spouse agrees, great, you move on. If one of you adamantly disagrees, well, hire your own expert and then see if you can bridge that gap a little bit further. Ultimately, if you cannot decide, you will have to present your case to the judge. Both of you will have to pay for experts to come to court to testify, and then it'll be up to the judge to decide that value. So I often get asked sometimes about structuring a business and avoiding problems in a divorce. The reality is, if you are already owning a business and you're considering a divorce, it's probably too late because those decisions have already been made. If you were starting anew, let's just say you were starting a business now, what would be the best way of going about it? Well, first of all, if you can do the business alone, that's great because now you're not going to be bringing anybody else in. But let's say you can't. Let's say you're going into a partnership. Let's say you need other people involved, whether it's a partnership, an S Corp, an LLC. The structure is not nearly as important as putting in some planning in place. In other words, can you come up with some agreements right off the bat as to what would or would not be discoverable in a divorce? You see, you can make sure that certain things are placed within your articles of incorporation, within your business formation documents. You put those things out there right off the bat to figure out what's going to happen in the event of a divorce. So for example, if let's say you were going in a partnership and you're not sure what you want to do, but maybe you're concerned that your business partner's spouse, their relationship isn't the best. You may want to put something in there such as a buy-sell agreement, wherein when one of these things happen, that you can instantly buy them out of their interest. It keeps them out of the books altogether. But the reality is, if you're watching this, it's probably too late because you're already considering a divorce. So if you know somebody that's about to start a business, it's a good idea to have some proactive planning in their corner before they even start it. I was just recently asked about business debt and how does that get treated? Well, Depending upon how the business is structured, it may just be considered a marital debt. Let's say, for example, you've got a business owner that owns a chiropractic office. Business is solely in his name, and there's $100,000 of debt. They have $100,000 of revenue. Well, what do you do with that? Well, it kind of goes into the business valuation, right? Because when we're trying to figure out what this is worth, when you're saying to someone, well, I want half of what that business is worth, well, then fine. If you want the asset, then you also have to take some of the debt. Now, if that debt is solely in the business's name, it's not common for a spouse to now start paying that debt. So in all likelihood, what would be properly done, what would make more sense would be offset it from something else. So let's say the person that owns the business, they then become fully responsible for that debt. And in exchange, the other spouse is going to maybe pay some different debts, or they're going to get less of another asset in exchange for that. If you're a business owner and you're considering filing for divorce, it's important that you hire a team that understands business. At Reidy Law Office, I'm also a business owner. My team understands businesses, and we'd be happy to help you.